This is Mac OS Ken.
Foxconn says one thing while Apple Insider hears another. An amazing smartphone trajectory for India. And how much more messy can Apple TV Plus get? It is Tuesday, the 15th of August, 2023. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 20% off any SimpliSafe system when you sign up for a free month trial of Fast Protect monitoring at simplisafecom/macosken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macosken. Do you ever just want to quit? Or curse? Or maybe curse, then quit? Last week I went on a bit of a tear over a piece from 9to5Mac. The report that got me agitated hit under the headline, iPhone sales won't grow this year, says sensor supplier Sony. Of course, as I pointed out last week, Sony didn't say that explicitly. The 9to5Mac piece said they effectively said that, which means they didn't actually say that. According to the week-old report, Sony said the demand for smartphones is slowing in China and worsening in the US, echoing Apple's own warning not to expect growth from the iPhone 15 launch. Of course, that's only kind of what Apple said. What Apple actually said was that they expect year-on-year growth for iPhone and services this quarter, though the whole quarter is going to be dragged down by the tough compare for Mac and iPad for the September quarter of this year versus the same quarter a year earlier. Sorry to go over all this again, but it's happened again. Just replace Sony with Foxconn and 9to5Mac with Apple Insider. The headline from that site on Monday read, Foxconn predicts decline in iPhone demand, except no it bleeping didn't. I will say, as I said last week, there are plenty of reasons to think that iPhone sales might falter this year. The decline in smartphone sales in the States and rumors of higher prices for the iPhone 15 are a couple of big ones. And yes, what Sony said and what Foxconn said could serve as indicators. But even in headlines, sites shouldn't say the company said things they didn't actually say. I guess we should talk about what Foxconn said. A piece from Bloomberg says Foxconn now expects 2023 sales to fall after previously forecasting flat revenue. Bloomberg reads that as a warning about demand for the devices it makes for Apple and other global firms. Except Foxconn doesn't seem to have said anything about Apple. If they had, that would be the quote. Counterpoint Research mentioned Apple, Bloomberg Business Intelligence mentioned Apple, and Foxconn mentioned a slight contraction to its main business segments. Quoting Bloomberg, the Taiwanese company now expects most of its main business segments, including smartphones, to contract slightly this quarter and over the entire year as global economic malaise depresses consumer spending on electronics. Interestingly, a piece on the same earnings report from Barron's said, Foxconn said that performance at its consumer electronics division should improve in the third quarter, though it may still fall short of last year's performance. All of that happened before the market opened here in the States on Monday. The same Barron's piece says Apple shares inched up 0.5% to 178.70 in pre-market trading Monday. Shares in the Cupertino company actually ended the day up just under $1, closing at 179.46. Now, just for fun, let's do something crazy. Let's make the case for iPhone sales going up this quarter. Bloomberg says Foxconn says its main business segments, including smartphones, will contract slightly this quarter and over the entire year. That actually runs counter to the piece from Barron's that had Foxconn calling for performance in its consumer electronics division to improve in the third quarter. Info from various market trackers has indicated that while sales for iPhone have slipped slightly in many regions, sales have cratered for just about every other smartphone brand out there. Apple is expected to release the next round of iPhones this quarter. Foxconn makes devices for a number of brands, including, but not limited to, Apple. It seems possible that growth for iPhone this quarter, which, let's remember, Apple said it expects to see. It seems possible that growth for iPhone this quarter could be the difference between the slight contraction to growth in its main business segments Foxconn is expecting, and an oh my god, we're gonna die contraction. Am I saying that iPhone sales are going to grow? I am not. I don't know. But neither Sony nor Foxconn said iPhone sales are going to shrink. Possible? Sure. Probable? Maybe. Read between the lines if you want to, but quit saying that the thing you're reading between the lines is something someone actually said. Please. I am begging you. Crazy numbers on phone production in India from Counterpoint Research. According to the firm, 98% of mobile phones moved in India in 2022 were made in India. That's up from just 19% back in 2014. Why go back to 2014? Because that is when the country's Make in India initiative began. It started with high import tariffs for phones sold in the country but made someplace else. Toss in generous tax breaks for local assembly, as a piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the country did. And what you end up with is 2 billion phones made in India across the 8 years, with a compound annual growth rate of 23%. The piece from TechCrunch on the numbers has a Counterpoint research director indicating that there are 200 or so smartphone and feature brands assembled in India today. That is up from 2 in 2014. Counterpoint says the growth's been enough to make India the world's second largest country for mobile phone production. According to the TechCrunch report, India is assembling roughly 1.8 times more smartphones than Vietnam, and about a quarter of China's output, according to the Counterpoint research director. China, India, and Vietnam are the top 3 smartphone manufacturers. It goes without saying, but say it I will, Apple's participation has been part of India's growth story. Looking forward, the Cupertino company stands to play a bigger role. As 9 to 5 Mac points out, Apple initially limited Indian iPhone assembly to the iPhone SE back in 2017, but subsequently ramped up production to the full range, including the iPhone 14 last year. This year, the piece says, iPhone 15 assembly is expected to begin simultaneously in both China and India. An ex-Apple exec has turned up at car maker Ford. 9 to 5 Mac says Peter Stern, former deputy to Eddie the Butler Q, is now the head of the car company's newly formed Ford Integrated Services Division. According to Ford's press release on the new hire, Stern will put together a crew to build out the business tied to Ford's Blue Cruise hands-free highway driving system and productivity and safety security services, including those from the Ford Pro Intelligence business. The team will imagine and deliver exciting new high-value services, and it'll lead services marketing, certain out-of-vehicle customer experiences, and Ford Next. In the release, Stern was quoted as saying, "I love creating new services businesses, and this is the perfect chance to do just that. The auto industry is undergoing an unprecedented transformation from gas engines to electric vehicles, and from human to to autonomous driving. At the same time, the basis for differentiation is shifting from the vehicles alone to the integration of hardware, software, and services. I'll be in the middle of something truly historic, and am particularly fortunate to do that at Ford, which has been democratizing automotive technology for 120 years and counting. I can't help wondering whether part of that is a dig at General Motors. Ford's rival announced earlier this year that it'll drop CarPlay and Android Auto from future electric vehicles, opting instead for an in-car infotainment system of its own based on Android. So, no choice at GM versus Ford's democratizing automotive technology. Could be a dig. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Simply Safe, the right way to protect your home. Whether you're going to work, going to the store, or going on vacation, you might feel more comfortable with eyes on your home when you're away from it. For that, Simply Safe has a new solution, the Smart Alarm Wireless Indoor Camera. How smart? Its advanced motion detection and vision AI help it tell the difference between pets and potential intruders, reducing the number of false alarms. When it turns out it's a bad guy, Simply Safe Professional Monitoring warns intruders through the camera that they're being recorded and that police are on the way. Feel like that's more than you need? Okay. Simply Safe lets you pick and choose just the equipment you need to keep your home secure. And setup is a snap. I had my sensors, keypad, and base station up and running by myself in well under an hour. See how Simply Safe can help protect your home. Right now, macOS Ken listeners get a special 20% off any Simply Safe system when you sign up for a free month trial of Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/macOSKen. The special offer is for a limited time only. Visit simplysafe.com/macOSKen. SIMPLI. That's simplysafe.com/macOSKen. There's no safe like Simply Safe. If it feels like you're paying as much today for streaming services as you used to pay for cable, the Financial Times says that's because you are. 9 to 5 Mac highlights the Financial Times report. As little as a year ago, says the piece, a popular set of streaming services added up to a total cost of $73 per month, compared to $83 for an equivalent cable package. That included titles like Apple TV+, HBO Max, Disney, Hulu, and others. It would be neat to be able to check their math, though. That "and others" makes it kind of difficult. Whichever ones they're adding, though, have all added to their prices. The piece points out that Apple TV Plus has risen in price from $4.99 to $6.99 per month. Disney Plus has had a couple of increases, going from $7.99 to $10.99 to $13.99. Hulu's gone from $14.99 to $17.99. Max has gone up. Netflix has gone up. Paramount Plus folded in Showtime, whether viewers wanted it or not, then raised their price. Now Financial Times says a full slate of streaming services comes in at around $87 per month, $4 higher than cable. I will say, having spent a week sick and trying to find stuff to watch, Paramount Plus and Max have really junked up their feeds. I mean, they have a lot, but it's hard to find the good stuff. Then again, good is in the eye of the beholder, but those two in particular felt kind of crappy when I was feeling kind of crappy. And finally today, Apple TV Plus is turning into a very, Messi service. Cult of Mac says the Cupertino streamer has announced a second docuseries about international soccer phenom Lionel Messi. We had heard about the first one, covering Mr. Messi's long-standing work with Argentina's national team and his many FIFA World Cup appearances. Now the cult says Apple's announced the first and only behind-the-scenes account of Messi's new chapter with Major League Soccer team Inter Miami CF. Wow, how do you think Apple scored that one? Announcing the new, as yet untitled series, Apple says from selling out record crowds across America at breakneck speed to his incredible last-minute game-winning goal in his very first match to moments with Messi and his Inter Miami CF teammates, the series chronicles Messi's immersion in America, the remarkable journey and transformation of Inter Miami CF, and most significantly, the impact he is currently having on soccer in North America as Messi mania crisscrosses the continent. I'm sorry, this started like 20 minutes ago, didn't it? No word on when the docuseries will land on Apple TV+. macOS Can, brought to you by me and sponsored by Simply Safe. Get 20% off any Simply Safe system when you sign up for a free month trial of Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/macOScan. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOScan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.